Thank you. Theodore.
Thank you, Madam President. Dear Commissioner, next week we will hopefully have a new Greek government. The Commission's only recommendation for this new government is to implement the existing programme. To achieve that, it absolutely needs a growing extrovert private sector. Today, the situation in the Greek private sector is extreme. All the jobs lost, more than 500,000, come from the private sector. There is new increased tax rates. There is no credit. Healthy Greek companies face interest rates of 9 to 11%, and even export companies have now no credit in terms of forward payments for their exports, so they will have to find new financing, and the state still takes most of the credit and absorbs it. Do you think that within the existing programme we can have a more balanced distribution of the burden between the private and the public sector in Greece? Thank you.
The challenges of the new government, we have underlined that it is important to respect the commitments both sides because we see this as a pact of solidarity between Greece on the one hand and the 16 other euro area member states on the other hand. And the second programme for Greece, as well as the related agreement on private sector involvement, have all been endorsed by the 17 parliaments, by the Greek parliament, as well as by the parliaments of the 16 other euro area member states. And it is a pact of solidarity between all these governments and parliaments. As regards the private sector, I think it's very important to take into account that in fact, in the process of reviewing the implementation of the programme, there is an inbuilt mechanism of constant and continuous reviewing of policies, which means that it is possible, for instance, to reform the tax system so that Greece will in the future have a truly efficient and fair tax system which will share the burden more equally, take into account considerations of social justice and the burdens faced by small entrepreneurs. And I think this is clearly one of the key priorities, if not the key priority of the new Greek government, to plan and agree on such a tax reform which will enable Greece to fight tax evasion, which is socially unjust, and create an efficient and fair tax system which will facilitate growth in the private sector so that Greece can indeed return to recovery and more sustainable economic footing, largely based on a more economically viable and strong private sector and private enterprises.